Hey everybody, welcome to another live stream. We're here at Sophist Productions and we're live. And thank you guys. So there were some guys who were waiting for us before the live stream. So yeah, we're here. And today we have like this interesting topic that we want to discuss. It's the ceasefire between Iran and Israel. And how amazing is that, just 2 days ago, we were doing this live stream, and between the live stream, there was like the Iranians attacked the Qatar US military airbase, and there was no casualties. They gave them a heads up warning, but that was like a big attack. And as soon as they attacked, there was a ceasefire, and Donald Trump called for the ceasefire. So when we started the last live stream, it was things seemed like it was the end of the world. But now, and when the live stream ended, it was like that everything was okay. There was no war that was going to happen. So it was such a big shift because both of the sides were like destroying each other. US bombed Iran's nuclear facilities, and Iran was attacking the Israeli side as well. A lot of hypersonic missiles and a lot of missiles that were hitting Tel Aviv and all the northern Israeli cities. And now that we see that there's like this big ceasefire by Trump, and Trump is a funny guy because he was like, I let these two guys fight out. And that was like really funny that he was pretending that Netanyahu and Khomeini were like sixth grade children, and they were like making a lot of noise. So Trump was telling them to stop, but they didn't want to stop. So he let them fight it out for like 12 days. It was a 12-day war. And honestly, we're really happy that cooler heads prevailed and the war has ended. And we hope that the ceasefire continues, but we have compelling evidence that they couldn't destroy the Iranian nuclear facilities. And that's what we were talking about last time, that we showed you all the pictures, and there's some more footages and images as well, that they could only destroy like the tunnel that was leading to the facility. And Donald Trump comes up and he's like, we dropped the biggest bombs and there's nothing underneath the mountain, and the mountain looks black or something. I don't mean. So considering all that, we've got like 4 people that are watching us right now. And thank you guys for being here. And Faisal was here, Maheen is also here, and she was waiting, and Fezzi Dandy just said hello, and Star was also waiting for a live stream. So all of you guys who are here enjoying our live streams, thank you so much, and we appreciate each of our viewers. You're like a family. It's like the Wali Wonders family that we are. So what happens is that they can't destroy the Iran's nuclear program, and now Trump is saying that he's going to attack Iran again if they still pursue the nuclear weapon that they want to make, and if they continue to enrich uranium. Plus, we also hear that Iran had already successfully and safely moved all its uranium to like a facility that was super secure, super safe under some mountain somewhere else, and they're just continuing their operations from there. So there was this Intel leaked CIA document that was saying that the United States could not destroy the Iranian nuclear sites. And that was a big scandal that just came out. And on that basis, even the Israeli what you can say, the people in the government are also saying the same things, that they have clear intel that they couldn't destroy the nuclear facilities of Iran, or even if they did destroy them, all of the stuff that was important had already moved to another secure location. So in a way, it was a big defeat for Israel and Netanyahu. I truly believe that, because they did all this escalation for what? At the end, if it was just going to be a symbolic bomb droppings from some B-2 bombers, then they could have done this much earlier without less casualties. And honestly, I also think that Israel could not have waged this war for much longer, because there was so much destruction going on in Israel. Remember, Israel is like a small space, small land, and the cities are such that if you keep on bombing them, their infrastructure will get totally decimated, and they could not sustain the repeated attacks from Iran. So yeah, if I could sum it up, the attacks from both sides were successful, and the defense from both sides had failed tremendously, also on the Iranian side and the Israeli side, because Israel couldn't stop the missiles that were coming in. And in day one, when the operation started, the Israel, through some people who were involved in the Iranian government and through espionage, they destroyed all the main missile launchers or surface-to-air, what you could say, firing vehicles that they have, these trucks, these big trucks which fire missiles. And by the time the Israeli and the United States Air Force came in and bombed Iran, there was no one who could stop this heinous and this such a big attack. And the airspace of Iran was in some sort controlled by the other side. So with that, I'd like to welcome our guest, Anila Shahzad, who's a regular, and we've been having her more often because of such tensions in the geopolitical era. And honestly, I believe that there's a ceasefire, and I want this ceasefire to continue. But let's not get too emotional over it, and let's take a sensible opinion from a geopolitical analyst on what is really going on. Is there going to be a ceasefire, or is this just another countdown?
Yeah. So thank you for having me here, Wali. It's always wonderful to be here. Yes. So the first thing I want to start with is that, geopolitics is this big picture, this global picture, this global political framework, or you call it the global chessboard. And it's very interesting. It's a very interesting subject, and people are getting more and more into it, because every morning when you wake up and you open the news, you find so many news and so much new events happening, unfolding. And the era that we are living in is so eventful that everybody is engaged in this information thing. But it's really also, it can get very, very confusing if we are not looking at all the aspects, if we're not being able to really take a sensible view of what's happening. And especially if we are having some favorite channels and some favorite news outlets that we are following, then we are more prone to be having a biased opinion about things. So if you want to be in this, and everybody should be, I think, interested, so always go for different outlets from different countries, from opposing sides. Try to know and understand what is really happening. So coming to the ceasefire, of course, we all had our fingers crossed, and we were all praying for the end of this war that could be the beginning of the Third World War. Analysts from all over the world were saying this thing. The Israeli side was hell-bent at like dragging the US inside this war. And they were like, after the US, after like Israel, Netanyahu especially, he has been saying this for years and years. He goes to the United Nations Assembly, and he stands there with the picture of a bomb, and he says that Iran is just 2 weeks or 6 months away from making this nuclear bomb, and it's going to throw that bomb on Israel. So everybody join with me to attack Iran. This type of narrative Netanyahu has been building for years now. But at this time, since the Gaza-Israel war started, and from the day one, Iranian-backed militias, the Hezbollah and the Ansarullah in Yemen, they were attacking Israeli, military from both sides, from the south and the north. And from day one, Israel was making this case that if we want to end this war, if we want to end Hamas, if we want to end aggression on Israel, we have to attack Iran, we have to end Iran, we have to change regime in Iran, because Iran is the real entity that is creating all this trouble for Israel. But as you have seen, that the Trump administration was like hesitant, because if you really want to go into war with Iran with all your force to help Israel, to help make Israel's this evil dream come true, then what do? You bring on thousands and thousands of your soldiers, you bring out all your aircrafts, you bring out all your naval ships, and you make one big attack. But the Trump administration, we see that they were trying to not do this. And they passed the time, they were passing the time, and things were getting uglier and uglier for Israel. There seems to be in this tactic, in this delay tactic, it seems like Trump was really because he had promised to his constituency and all his voters that he's going to end all the wars. So he was really fed up from inside. One part of Trump was for the war. One part of Trump was totally with Israel, and another part of Trump was like, we have to end this war. So what happened, that when pressure was building up tremendously on Trump, that the US has to enter the war, and on this behest, and because whatever was going on between the two sides, their diplomacy, their communication, whatever, Netanyahu said that, okay, I am going to start the war, this 12-day war, and when I start this war, you will be compelled, you will be forced to enter this war on our sides. And maybe Trump said yes, because the day Israel attacked Iran, the first day, the other morning when Trump came out with this statement that I knew that Israel was going to attack Iran, and I was in the loop, and he was agreed with this thing that Israel had done. But from the same moment, he was also trying to pull the two entities away, to make them come for peace and to stop this war, because starting a war in the Middle East with Iran, who is such a big military power right now, because you have isolated, you have put sanctions on Iran for decades and decades, since the time of when the first Ayatollah came to Iran, and it was something like 1980 or something, those years. From that time, all the Western countries have put on sanctions and limitations and isolated Iran totally, Iran could not do trade in the open market, in the free market. Iran could not sell its oil. Iran could not buy medicine from, all around the world, and food for its people. So what did Iran do? Not like some other country who would like kneel down in difficult times. What Iran did was they made their own food. They made their indigenous industries for whatever things they needed. They made their own machinery, they made their own stuff that they needed, and then they started making their own weapon systems. And that was the most incredible thing, that a country which is totally isolated, it cannot buy weapon from Rafales from France, it cannot buy F-35s from the US, it cannot even buy J-10s or J-35s from China, because the US says whoever does any business with Iran, we're going to fight that country. So everybody backs off. So Iran is making their own weapon, Iran is making their own fighter jets and their naval fleet and their drone technology. They had such an advanced and such a enormous drone industry, and it was because it was locally made and cheap stuff was used to make it. Russia, in its Ukraine-Russia war, ordered all its drones from Iran. They bought the Iranian drones, and that means Iran is a net exporter of weapons also right now. So if you crush a country so hard and press it so hard, what will happen? I mean, maybe it's going to fall apart, and maybe it's going to come out more stronger, more resilient. And then I talk about the tunnel system that Iran has built, and it is so huge and so humongous and so deep down in the earth, and so lengths. And I was reading a report where it was said that actually North Korea had started this technology of making big tunnels under its ground, because North Korea is also one of those countries that is always under the cloud of war, and it always under the threat that the US is maybe going to attack them any day. So they've also made those underground tunnels, and the same technology was copied by Iran, and they've made cities of tunnels deep down in the ground, and where they're hiding all their military and all that their weapons. And the same technology was again shifted into Lebanon for the Hezbollah, and into Gaza for the Hamas fighters. And maybe this same technology is being followed in Yemen also, because the US and Israel, they are throwing their missiles on Yemen, but they don't. There are no targets to be hit, because if there is something, if they have something, that's all hidden and under the ground. So that is the a thing which tells us that it was so impossible for Israel to use maybe hundreds of its missiles or thousands of its missiles, or even for the US to come out and with hundreds and thousands of their missiles, but they would not be able to really destroy. They could destroy the cities, they could kill the civilians, but they would not be able to reach their weapon depots or their fighter aircrafts, or their sensitive defense equipments, or their stations, or their bunkers, or their nuclear facilities. So that was a lost war even before being started. So what we see, what happened on I think it was the 11th day of the war, or the 12th day of the war, that the US Trump ordered the B-2 bombers, and those bombers are very heavy, very large, and they hold a very huge payload, and they had to travel all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, cross the Mediterranean Ocean, and maybe they stopped in Israel to refuel. And there were so many social media. When you opened the social media, some people were saying that they refueled in India, and then some people were saying that they refueled in Pakistan, which was all false, because why would they come all the way to Pakistan to refuel when they could do all that so much closer in Israel, who was actually waiting and who was like actually all in coalition with this operation. So in the end, I would say that yes, Donald Trump portrayed himself as a hero, as the man who made this war, ended this war with this big bombing, and then he comes out after a few hours and he says that, okay, I've destroyed your nuclear assets, I've destroyed the Fordo and the Natzan and the Asfahan facilities, and now the war is over. I'm ordering both of you to back off. Nobody's going to attack the other anymore, and now like the war is over. So can some people are saying, some analysts are saying, can Trump just dream of something to happen or make believe that something is going to happen and say it again and again, and it is just going to really happen? Is that the way global politics works? And for some people who are saying that the war has just begun. I mean, why would Iran back off now that you have attacked its military assets? Now Iran can say that, okay, you've already destroyed our nuclear assets. Okay, so there's no point of making any nuclear deal anymore. And now that you have obliterated our sovereignty and entered our soil so many times, and now with your B-2 bombers, then now I'm going to be openly targeting all your bases all around the Middle East, all around Israel. Maybe that is a case, or maybe, like we are all hoping, Iran knows that war is not good for the region. War is not good for anyone. I mean, if this same war was going on or being fought in the premises of the United States, close to their country, close to their border, it would be good for Iran to keep on going. But this war is going to be fought inside Iran. It's going to be fought inside the Middle East. It's going to be fought inside the Asian region, which is so thirsty for progress, for development, for peace. So that's the conclusion I'm making, that actually the war has just started, but because Israel has found out that the US is not going to do what it wishes the US to do, and it's being beaten hardly, very hard. And Iran also knows that war is only going to make things more complex and difficult for Iran and for all its friends in the region. So hope is that yes, this ceasefire will prevail.
That was like in-depth analysis on the issue, and Trump seems to be in power, and Netanyahu is like, Trump is the only person who can stop Netanyahu, it seems on the face, and Trump is trying to stop this war. But yes, Anila is right that it's like a very complicated scenario that is going on. Maybe Trump just wants to be a strong guy. Maybe Trump just wants to pretend that he is in charge, and he's not actually in charge. So there's a few people who are here, and Maheen says, Wali and Anila, love you both. Thank you so much.
We love you too.
Rana Adnan says hello, sir. Tuba Nadeem is saying hello. Thank you, Tuba, for being here. Nadeem Ahmed is saying hello. Hello. Nimra is waving, and she's saying, this is the second attendance on this channel today. Looks like I'm becoming a regular, so should I get... Just like... Yeah, sorry for that interruption. So she's like, should I get a staff ID made? यार ट्रम्प पीस करवाता है और मैं अब तक टीवी का रिमोट नहीं ढूंढ पा रही. लिफ्ट चलिए. Guys, just hold on a second. We'll be back. sorry for the disruption. We are trying to get this fixed, but this happens like regularly on our channel. So, are we okay? Okay. So yeah, sorry for that. So yeah. So yeah, there's like a little disruption going on, but we'll just get that fixed in a moment. And the sound usually goes bad. There's some distortion in the sound. So I was trying to show you this video. So let's just see the video, and maybe.
I don't think so, but I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous.
How will you respond if you see foreign fire?
I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. All I do is play both sides. I'm going now, as you know, to NATO. Some of you are going with me, and I think it's going to be successful. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Are you going to be the agreement? It's a new dawn in the Middle East. Thanks to the agreement you managed to achieve. What are your future plans for the region, for Saudi Arabia, Israel, Gaza, the hostages?
Look, you're asking me about women in the Middle East. It's getting a lot better. Things are happening at a high level. As you know, Saudi Arabia's done a really good job. It's coming out far faster than I thought. Back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see.
Accuse each other for violating the ceasefire. So
I think they both violated it. I don't think I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. So as soon as I get away from you, I'm going to see if I can stop it, okay?
Have you spoken to him this morning? How confident are you that
I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all. And frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
Do you believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
No, Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock.
So yeah, you just heard Trump giving his speech, and such a nice speech he was giving. And he was scolding, and he was angry with Israel. And Trump, on the face of it, seems to be the only guy who can stop Netanyahu from going into this war. But Netanyahu is also politically destroyed, and he is losing a lot of support in his own country. And now he had to stop the war because they were like attacking some stuff, but they weren't getting to the nuclear facilities. That was their main aim. And there's a clear loser, that is the Israeli regime and Netanyahu. Yes, we admit that they have assassinated the top generals and the top military leaders of the Iranian regime, but still point remains that they have only killed those people, but they haven't stopped the mission. The mission was to enrich nuclear uranium and to get like a weapon that is going to destroy the whole of Israel, and they are still on that mission, apparently. So there's a few more guys today over here, and Nimra is saying, यार ट्रम्प पीस करवाता है और मैं अब तक टीवी का रिमोट अच्छा आई थिंक ये मैंने पढ़ा था and Ali Faraz is saying Yoi, thank you Ali Faraz for joining us, and Nimra is saying, why is everyone in silent mode today? This place is never boring. Why do you all want me bored today? Hello. And Asma is here and she's saying, great to see Wali Wonders live. Salam to Miss Anila and all the best
Walaikum assalam.
for today's powerful analysis. And Iman is also here. She's saying welcome, and welcome to you, Iman, as well. Of course, we love you guys, and it's like you guys have been supporting us so much with such nice comments and with all the likes and the views that it gives us the motivation to continue. And please do like, share, and subscribe, because that helps to grow this channel a lot. And with that, we're discussing about what the geopolitical situation is going on right now. It seems like Trump was trying to be this macho strong man, and he was going to bomb the nuclear sites of Iran, and he was going to have a decisive victory, and Iran was going to kneel over, and they were going for an unconditional surrender. But when things didn't go as planned, maybe he did not want to do that. Now also Trump is also saying that he does not want any regime change. At first I thought Israel and Trump were asking Khomeini to step down, or else they would bomb him. They exactly knew where the so-called leader was hiding. And now Trump doesn't want any regime change. So, and he also used like some bad language in this video as well, as he was calling both the sides, Iran and Israel, that they have been fighting this war for such a long time that they don't know what the F they're doing. So that is like Trump showing emotions, because now Trump is getting even frustrated. Maybe he gave like the 2 weeks time. Now he's giving some more time for some negotiation, but he gave this 2 weeks time to get the people in confidence that nothing was going to happen in 2 weeks, and he just bombed them as soon as he could, because yes, as well, that people now cannot trust Donald Trump, because he says one thing and does the other. And as soon as Donald Trump bombs the whole area and goes into Iran, and now he takes like a 180-degree turn and says that he wants to stop the war and there's no regime change. Now, Anila, could you give us some opinion on what Trump really wants? And
well, I would give you an opinion, but the thing is, Trump also doesn't know what he wants. So yes, Iran has a few hours, earlier already said that yes, we are agreed on the ceasefire. So on the insistence of Trump and his administration, Iran has said Iran did not follow suit immediately. It kept on hating Israel. There were a lot of bombing yesterday, I think, on Israel, and Iran also hit a US military base in Qatar that you were showing. But some hours ago, Iran already has said that, okay, we are ending the war and we are coming to the ceasefire. But Israel, because Israel is in a panic mode, because that same Israel was the one who started the war. Iran did not start the war. And Israel, Netanyahu said in his different statements that Israel has two goals. One, to end the nuclear facilities, and the other to have a regime change. I mean, how can you bomb a regime? It's incredible. I mean, how can you say that?
Especially the last couple of days, Israel was hit really hard.
Sixth generation warfare is defined like that. to be able to change the regime by other means, and but waging a conventional war on another country or bombing it is not one of the methods described in the sixth generation war. So I don't know what type of war Netanyahu had planned. There is an aspect of psyops and media manipulation and false fake newses and narrative building. Yes, Iran did all that very well, but was it able to, like it used to say that I am Netanyahu a few months ago, he said that I have long arms. Israel has long arms, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere in Iran also. He said that. So where are his long arms now? I mean, he was totally dependent upon the U.S. to come and do that for Israel, but that has
we know that they are very good at regime change. We have witnessed that firsthand, and regime change operations by Israel and the USA are like a part of their policy and a part of their plan. Although I do believe that Donald Trump is saying the truth, that he doesn't want any regime change. And what would regime change do exactly? Because Ayatollah was ready to die anyways, and Ayatollah had appointed like option A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There was, if he died, there was someone else who's going to take over. Then if he dies, then there's someone else that's going to take over. And yes, the United States had a successful regime change in Iran in the 70s when Ayatollah actually came in, because they were fearing Raza Shah Pahlavi and his influence in the world, because he was gathering a lot of attraction and attention from the whole world. And that is when the regime change really happened. And who do they put in place? Ayatollah Khamenei. And then why is Netanyahu's main mission for the past 30 years is to topple Iranian regime? So I do think, Anila, that Iran, Israel and Netanyahu, they still have this on their cards, that they want to change the regime. They also want to kill Ayatollah Khamenei as soon as the first chance they get. But it's not that simple. And without the backing of US, it's going to be like a difficult task to do a regime change operation. And with that, I also want to discuss a little bit about Saddam Hussein as well, because it wasn't just Iran who was on the hit list, it was also Iraq. And Netanyahu was the one to explain to the world that you have to invade Iraq and kill Saddam. That's the only way. And if there's Saddam Hussein, there's an existential threat to the whole world. So I'm looking at this dictator sort of a person who's Saddam Hussein, and I've watched the movie as well, The Devil's Double or something, in which there's this movie about Saddam Hussein's son and the horrible things that he's doing. And I mean, this evil guy.
I'll have to add something in that.
Who was ruling Iraq with an ambition to just totally end. And yes, Saddam Hussein was actually the one to support Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, and Yasser Arafat as well. And Yasser Arafat, before Iraq lost the Qatar war, because Iraq attacked Qatar and took over their oil fields, because Saddam always thought that Qatar's oil was his oil. And he just simply attacked them. And that was not on Saddam Hussein's call, because the United States Secretary just came and told Saddam Hussein to attack Qatar. And when they left, and Saddam attacked.
You were saying.
Yeah. So this guy.
No, Rumsfeld actually came for the Iran-Iraq war.
Yeah.
Not the Kuwait war.
Kuwait war. But there was some guy who gave Saddam Hussein the green signal to go with attack Qatar. And at that time, the Palestinian Liberation Organization or Yasser Arafat were with Saddam Hussein, because Saddam Hussein said that if I would take over Qatar, I would honestly help Palestinian people in their cause.
It was Kuwait, not Qatar. Kuwait.
Oh yeah, the attack Kuwait. Sorry, I confused the two of them. So, such an interesting situation that they couldn't do a regime change in Iraq, and they killed like 1 million people, and they bombed like Baghdad to like anything. There was like 1,000 cruise missiles fired in one night. The day they invaded Baghdad.
Exactly.
And it was such a big devastation. And one asks the question that was that like even moral or ethical on Israel's part or Netanyahu's part? And
can I add something?
Yeah.
Like you're right that Israel must be part of the game, but actually the US was the one who attacked Iraq. And again, I would also want to add a few things, like there is different philosophies of wars, different theories about wars, and there's also a philosophy or a theory which says that war is a social phenomena. That means war does never end. The human history, something like 5,000 or 6,000 years of human history that has been written down, like that has been recorded. It is totally filled with wars, and the fact is that wars are the history of humanity. That was what people mentioned or wrote and thought that they have to remember. And you take out any era, any continent, any time, you always find wars. And that thing, it brings to your mind or our mind that why is humanity like so ferocious, so war oriented, so like war focused, and why can't we ever live in peace? So that is, a phenomena or a theory that war is an ongoing process. And that's exactly what you were saying and we were discussing, that has the Israel-Iran war ended? Maybe it seems to be like it's ended right now. There's a ceasefire, but Israel would never stop planning against Iran until the day it has destroyed it. And Iran will not stop planning against Israel or the US, which it knows are hell-bent against it. And you also mentioned Iraq, and I would add to that thing that Iran is not the only target that Israel has. Israel, when it came into existence, it knew, because the first day, it was something like the first day that Israel came into being, on the second day exactly, the Arab armies put themselves together, although even that they didn't have any weapons. They were all like colonized just a few months or a few years ago. They didn't have their armies. They didn't have any training for their armies, no weapons for their armies. Still, they got together and attacked Israel. And it was like after that, there was no decade or a few years that these people would not come together and attack Israel again. So Israel made this thing a strategic or its strategic planning or a policy to divide these, make these Arab states like fight each other, divide them, and make some of them its friends and some of them its enemies. And the Shia-Sunni fault line was exploited by the Western, the US, you can say, or the Europe, you can say, and Israel, you can say, that they made the Saudis and the other Gulf Arabs, the Sunni Gulf Arabs, think that Iran is their sworn enemy, and it is any day that Iran is going to come and attack them. And for this reason, there was always an enmity between the Gulf states and Iran. And just a few years ago, 2 years or 2.5 years ago, China stepped in and made the possible the rapprochement between the Saudis and the Iranians. They become friends, and they had started diplomacy with each other. Now it is a time that every day they are talking, their delegations are talking, their foreign ministers are talking, they're discussing the situation every day, and that makes a hell of a difference. But if you look at the Israeli narrative or the Western narrative, they were still saying that Iran and Saudi are enemies, and the Saudis want the Iranians finished. And they're still pursuing that narrative. So that is the game plan of Israel, that if it wants to survive or exist, it needs the Arab neighborhood to be on fire, to be weak, to be destroyed. And they have done this. They have destroyed Libya, in which Muammar Gaddafi was a person who was a pan-African, who was a pan-Arab, and he was such a fine person that he had a welfare state running in his country. And the more, everywhere in the Western media, he was portrayed as the axis of evil, and, the dictator and the real tyrant and whatever and whatnot. But actually he was running a welfare state inside Africa, inside the Arab world, and he had a lot of oil, and he was using that oil money to for the welfare of his people. And there was plus 99%, plus 95% literacy in Libya. Everybody had jobs, and everybody had a house. Every person who got married, the new couple was offered a new brand house. And this was the kind of, it was something, some people said that, Tripoli or Libya is the France of Africa. So the same exact thing was being followed by Iraq, by Saddam Hussein. He was also running a welfare state, but the Western propaganda was all like, he's killing his people, he's murdering, because the Kurds were backed by these Western powers. They were given weapons, and they were made to rebel against the Iraqi government. So when a part of your country rebels, then the army has to step in and has to control that rebel. I mean, that is an existential need of the state. So Saddam went on to crush that rebellion that was happening in the Kurdish-held areas, or some other, militias that had appeared and who were trying to rebel against the Iraqi government. Of course, Saddam did kill those people, or his army killed those people. But on the whole, he was running a welfare state, but it was not a welfare state because of the reason that the US had put so many sanctions that they couldn't buy medicine, they couldn't buy food from outside world, they couldn't buy construction material from outside world for decades. Not 1 year or two, but for decades.
That's a really nice analysis, Anila. I could say that Saddam and Gaddafi and even Assad were like strong men, and they ruled their country by force and by might. And dictatorship is not always the right answer, although when we see Gaddafi, he was a really successful dictator because he did a lot of welfare for his people. And when we look at Saddam, he could have been the richest guy in the world if he could have taken over Kuwait, and he would have fulfilled his ambitions, and maybe he was more for making Palestine another state as well. But tyrants are tyrants, because when you suppress your own people and when you don't let the political parties and the democracy and when you don't listen to the people and you just jail them. Because in life, it cannot be like either you're with us or you're against us. Sometimes you need to have a little bit of dialogue going on, because remember, these people are not enemies, these are your own people. And when there's like a popular leader that is rising up and you just jail him or kill him, and then his successor comes and you jail or kill him again, and it keeps on happening. So it creates a chain reaction of anger, of sadness, of this potential that there is going to be a regime change. So yes, Saddam looked like such a powerful guy when he was like in his prime, and Gaddafi was like such a powerful man until the end, before the rebels came into Libya. And also Assad went on for a very long while, because although Iraq fell and although Libya fell, but Syria was the last one to fall, and Syria put up a really big fight. So yes, even the biggest dictators could fail, and so is like, I guess Netanyahu is also a dictator who's been on and off the
and
scene
a tyrant
for like the 30 years. And the point is that all these big dictators, they came to a very sad end. That is not because of what they were thinking, but because they were repressing the people for such a long while, that when things went south, it was like total destruction. And with that, I would like to show you guys a video of Donald Trump. And this is Donald Trump talking about the nuclear attacks, the B-2 bombers that went in and destroyed the nuclear facilities. And he's talking about all the other things. And this is a really recent interview. So let's watch this interview and we'll dissect what they're saying.
Ballistic missiles, boy, they took out a lot of buildings. Israel got...
Oh, sorry. Sorry, let's watch the other one.
Despite mass evacuations there, the BBC isn't allowed to broadcast from inside Iran, but we have this report from Siarvash Ardalan of the BBC Persian service in London.
In the center of the crowd, Iran's president, surrounded by hundreds of party faithful, venting their fury at the United States. What America did is truly unforgivable, says this woman. Iran is stronger than they perceive. But after last night's US attacks, the regime here is seriously weakened.
So that's some BBC propaganda, but let me just quickly go and show you the video that we were actually supposed to see. And that is Trump. Hold on.
They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes, then it's easy to stop them.
Can we hear the audio?
Strong language. Every once in a while you have to use a certain word. They've had a big...
This girl found a lonely crab and took it home. She introduced him to a homemade shell she made. First, it started examining the new porcelain
Sorry
shell
guys
to make
for
sure
the
it was
little
in good
disruption today.
Big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2...
Yes, so sometimes
you have to use strong language. Every once in a while you have to use a certain word. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight...
I don't know what is wrong. So let me make NATO secretary, yeah. Let me just copy and paste it. Sorry for the interruption, guys. Seems like we're having a little bit of issue. And let's open the shot again.
Big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. for about 2-3 minutes, then it's easy to stop them.
Then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language to
You have
get
to use
stuff.
strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain
I
word.
guess this is not the one. Let's open another video.
They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it.
All right.
They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight.
Yeah, we are having some troubles with the audio today, and something's going on. So, anyways, Trump is saying that the intelligence report that just came out on the issue that they couldn't target the Iranian military bases, that information is not the right information. And that was like a weak report. And that is what Donald Trump is really saying. And I don't know, maybe it is true that they couldn't target those nuclear facilities. It was just like a symbolic bombing of the area. And Trump goes on with the NATO secretary, and the NATO secretary is like, you talk very directly and you talk very bold, and Trump starts laughing at him. So we can't really today show you what was going on in the video. I wish we could. So let's go on to another video.
Don't you ask for the news?
Yeah, news as well. We just want to shift our laptop as well. But before we shift our laptop, I would just, would you like to add something, Anila, today to our audience? What is your take on this situation?
Because again, I would try to put in some wisdom about global politics in this era that we are living in, and because after the Cold War ended in the 1990, you can say 1989, 90, when the Soviet Union was broken down, the Cold War ended, and United States became the sole superpower of the world, and with that began the era of globalization. And the era of globalization means that not only were there a lot of technological advances in the means of communication and in the means of transport, and the globe became like a global village. People could go and come so easily and so quickly and fast. And now we are in this era that we can just in 1 second open our WhatsApp, open our Zoom and other apps to talk to people sitting in America. Within the split second, we are connected with them. So this type of globalization era was also an era in which the whole economic system was also integrated. Like, for instance, I always give the example of the semiconductors, that for these semiconductors, the raw material comes from South America and a few countries in South America, one or two countries in Africa. And the instruments that make those chips, those instruments, machines, they are made in Netherlands. And the software, the programs are written down and created in the Silicon Valley in the United States. And the basic chip, the material of the basic chip, they are made somewhere in Japan and Vietnam and here and there. And then those chips are finalized and given that a cutting edge whole thing that is put inside them in Taiwan. And then those chips are, when they are made, they are sent to China to be installed in all these different machineries, like in washing machines and cars and this and that and mobiles. And China makes that end product because China is making all the other infrastructure of that whatever thing is being made. And also the very, very high nano millimeters, the very tiny and very fast and very terabyte type of the chip are also produced for, weapon grade and for defense use. And those were the nano chips that the US was fighting about. And when Trump started his new trade war, he actually asked everybody to make it impossible for China to get those very tiny and very fast and very strong chips that China could put in its own weapons, and then those weapons were going to be like able to counter or fight the Western weapon system and all that. So what I was saying is that the whole global economy in so many industries, in all the industries, because there was this one huge planet, and every businessman went to Africa to find its raw material, went to some other Central Asian country to find its raw material, and then put its, and then find a cheap industrial ground in China or maybe in Hong Kong or in Taiwan or wherever, and then take his company in another continent and then build that thing. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, that is how interconnected, integrated global economy has become in the last few decades especially. And that is why it is so dangerous to have wars. And that is why when you cut off one stream, when you cut off one connectivity, there is a chance that the whole industry, the whole system, the whole integrated whole is going to fall down. So that is the thing that stops that, because another thing I would like to add over here is that analysts and even, economists all over the world, they have been saying that the next coming century, or which we have maybe already entered, is going to be an Asian century, because all the manpower is in Asia, all the industries are in Asia, Japan, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Vietnam. They have all the latest technology and industries, and the customers, the markets are also big markets, are also inside Asia, and like the economies of Europe and the economy of the United States they're all falling down. And people have been saying, analysts have been saying that the next century is going to be an Asian century. And that is the thing, that if Asia is going to become, stepping into that era of progress and development, what it needs is basically a peace. If there is peace, then can be talk of progress and development. If there is no peace and there are wars and wars, then how can there be any development, there will be no respite for that. So that is what the Asian countries and Asian powers are looking at, that we need to take the threat of war, the cloud of war away from our continent. And that is why China shows restraint when the US is threatening it all the time. That is why Russia tries to show constraint. That is why these people who are friends are asking Iran to show restraint. All that is interrelated, and diplomacy is so fast nowadays and so strong that people are talking every day on the phone, on the red hotlines and all that. So that is the thing that prevents Iran from prolonging the war, I think so. And that is the thing that Israel wants this war to be prolonged, because Israel doesn't want Asia to progress. Israel doesn't want Middle East to be stronger. Israel wants all the countries that are surrounding it to be broken down, like it broke Syria, like it helped break Iraq, like all the disaster. You see the Arab Spring era, which started just after 9/11. First it was 9/11, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iraq war did not end, and the Arab Spring started. So it's a continuous chain of destruction and war and blood that is happening all over the Muslim belt.
All because of just one country, that is Israel. And they say that Muslims are the ones who are hostile, but it's really the Israelis who have been waging this war. Not just the Israel, they're just a part of the game. The real players are also the Europeans and the Americans, because NATO comes up with its jets to bomb any place they don't like. So with that, let's go to our next article, which is Iran's Brzezinski expresses regret to Amir of Qatar. So the Iranian president says neither Qatar nor its people were targeted of attack on US bases to the Gulf nation. So, okay. Let me just set my window as well. So now Iran is going on and apologizing to Qatar on what is happening, and that's like, why did you guys attack in the first place? And the fact that the military bases, that's like a really interesting point that I want to tell all our audience, because remember that Saudi Arabia had oil like 1,000 years ago as well, when they used to, whenever they used to dig like even like 10 to 15 meters underground, oil would just burst out. And even the Arabs use this oil to light their streets at night, because oil, you put a little fire in the oil, a little bit of kerosene, and you can like light up your whole city at night. So fire was really, oil was really something that was known in the region. And remember, before the discovery of oil, or before the British discovered oil in this Middle Eastern area, these countries were like really poor. The state of Kuwait or Qatar or UAE did not exist. It was all part of the Ottoman Empire. And how amazing is that these nations are now on map, and they're so successful and they have so much money, but it doesn't really make sense how they divided the whole of Middle East and divided Saudi Arabia. And it was basically because of the Amir of Kaaba, Sharif of Kaaba,
Sharif of Makkah.
Sharif of Makkah, who was the real traitor. And we see that these countries are not, if you take into perspective, if they lose their oil, there's going to be nothing there. Maybe these countries won't even exist on their own without the oil money. And then they found so much oil, and they have been pulling out billions of dollars of oil every day. And they've been doing it for the past 70, 80 years. So think about the amount of wealth that these Saudi or Qatari or these Middle Eastern kings and princes have. They've got so much money that they could, even one of those guys like MBS could buy the whole of Tesla, he could buy Elon Musk, he could buy Jeff Bezos, and still he would have so much money left, because the real wealth shuts up. It doesn't speak. And these guys are the real wealth of the world. And they are wealthy, and especially they're wealthy in dollar terms, because they've been buying oil and they've been taking dollars for such a long while, and all the world trade is being done in dollar, and they've got so many dollars, and they've got so much prosperity. But still the point remains that all these countries could not just sell oil and get their money, because they also needed protection. and that protection was also provided by the United States of America. So the US came in, and US made its bases in Saudi Arabia. How, I mean, that is such a mind-blowing fact that a Muslim nation who does not believe, and it's like the capital of Islam, they've got Makkah and Medina, and they've got all these intellectual people, such a great history, and they let USA and American troops build their bases. Also because of the fact that USA a while ago and still now has the largest military, and they've got like so many weapons that to fight a war against the United States, it seems like just impossible because of their fighter jets and their bombs and their drones and their everything. And imagine all this technology they had also back when they were like taking over these places, and America was much, much further ahead because that was not an age of like rapid information. That was an age where there were a few institutes teaching you these things, and all of the manufacturing was in the United States, and you couldn't really mess with these people. And the Saudis and the Middle Eastern princes and the kings, they decided that they would let the US Army in their country. That's why they have a base in Qatar, they have a base in Kuwait, they have a base in UAE, they have a base in Saudi Arabia. And these are thousands and thousands of people. And also, yeah, Osama bin Laden. I'll tell you the conspiracy after I tell you this fact that Osama bin Laden was really angry at the Saudi government because he thought that they were the puppets of the West, and they had given all the country anyways away to the USA because you allow these people to have such a big military presence in your country. Obviously, they're protecting your oil, but then again, if they just change their mind, they're just in your country, they just walk in and take you off the throne. And that's what Gaddafi said as well, that the British got you in power and you're backed by the Americans and you're just a puppet to the Saudi king, and he got so furiated on the fact. And these bases, they also the fun fact that I was going to tell you that when the 9/11 attacks happened, the US government actually flew the bin Laden family out of America to save them. So, and there's also good evidence that if they would have killed Osama bin Laden in like the first few weeks of the war, because there's like intel that Osama bin Laden, even when the war started, was like surviving cancer and he was in a bad health condition. And then there was also news that the American troops had surrounded Osama bin Laden. And then this US military plane came in, and Osama bin Laden went in the military plane and he just left the place because if they would have killed him. So yeah, such big
in
conspiracy.
Abbottabad, you're saying?
Yeah, not in Abbottabad.
Achha.
When they invaded Afghanistan,
Achha, right.
in the first days of that war.
I have a story about that too.
Yeah, and also
Later.
tell us about the military bases. What do you think about that?
Yeah. First, I would like to tell our audience that there was a intermediary person who was in Afghanistan before the 9/11 attack, who was sent there to talk to the Taliban government. And his mission was that you go to the Taliban and tell them that they have to hand over Osama bin Laden to us immediately, or we are going to attack you. And that person, was there. He talked to the Taliban, and whatever happened, there was 9/11. There was Afghanistan was occupied and attacked. Later, that man wrote a book. And he said that the Taliban had said to me that we are ready, we know where Osama bin Laden is, he's in our custody, and we are ready to give him over to you. And he wrote in his book that they said to this man that bring your people with your stingers and your guns and your missiles, and we'll show you the point and you hit him. And this man says that I told the US all these things and they did not reply to me. Because their mission was not to end Osama bin Laden, their mission was to occupy Afghanistan. That was the thing.
And keep the war going for
like 10,
for
15 20 years. And, the same Taliban dragged them out, and which they had come to remove. They give the same power back to the Taliban, and they went out totally embarrassed about that. And yes, the other thing you were saying about the military bases.
They have all the money in the world, but they sold their soul to the United States yes. because all the military is in the Middle East. They're all there. So why do they even say that the Saudi government is in charge or the Qatari government is in charge? Because honestly, if they wanted the oil, they could just...
Actually, I have another theory for that. The Saudis have always been afraid of one enemy, and that has been Iran. And that has been since the time of Khomeini. When Khomeini entered, he removed the British oil and the Dutch oil, and he nationalized the oil fields. And then he started saying that, Israel is the Shaitan-e-Buzurg and the US is the Shaitan-e-Buzurg. And, he was so charismatic that he was able to totally invert his nation, like that same nation which was totally modernized. Women were wearing skirts, and they were totally following the culture of the US Western culture. He switched that nation into something totally different within weeks or days, and his followership was also present in Iraq. There was a big Shia population in Iraq, and they were so inspired with Khomeini that they were ready to bring an Islamic revolution in Iraq also, and Saddam was also afraid of them. And all these Gulf kingdoms, they were so much afraid, one, of an Islamic revolution, number two, of a wave of democracies. I mean, if this wave enters in the Gulf region, what will happen to the kingdom of the Saud family? What will happen to the kingdom of the Bahrain king family? And even Jordan is a kingdom. Even Kuwait is a kingdom. Even UAE is a kingdom. These are all kingdoms. Only one democracy is in the Arabian Peninsula, and that is Yemen. And that is why they are always not happy with Yemen. So these two fears fueled this thing that yes, we have enemies. Yes, we can be attacked. Yes, we will be destroyed. Yes, we have to stop this, Islamic revolution or this democratic revolution, because Iran also brought in democracy. Saddam was also following whatever you call it, a conditioned democracy. Syria was also having a conditioned democracy. So that this was a
barrier.
This a curtain of fear and extreme fear, that they were vulnerable to these things, these ideas. They were afraid of these ideas, that if their people stand up and say that this is a new 21st century, we want democracy, what are they going to do? So that's why they were they needed that protection that they took from the Western people.
But is it really protection when they have the military in your country? And is it really your country if another country's military is in your country?
To the day, they haven't used those militaries against the Saudis. They have actually used it against Iraq in the Gulf War, and then they use it against as a threat against Iran. But yes, you're right. The day Saudis really turn against these people, they will be like the targets. Yes, you're right.
So let's go to some comments. And Anas Akram is like, bro, got the link to channel first time today. Just checked it out. Honestly, it seems really interesting. Looks like some serious content hidden here. Thank you, Anas. Anas is also saying, keep it up, bro. Thank you so much. And we welcome all the first-time viewers to our channel, and we hope that you return to our channel, listen to what we have to say, because there's a lot of information that we're giving, sometimes about mysteries, sometimes about geopolitics, and sometimes about all the spicy stuff. So with that, Sana is here. Sana is also regular on our channel. She says, Wali and Salam Auntie.
Walaikum salam.
And Sana says, Wali, I'm your biggest fan, and I got late because as soon as I received your link, I got so excited, I almost crashed my car.
Oh my God.
So guys, don't use your phone while you're driving. That's like
Stay
a sponsored
safe,
message by Wali Wonders. Your safety is more important. And she's saying, Wali Wonders literally shook my world. And Asma saying, Wali Wonders का असर इतना गहरा है तो अगले सीजन हेलमेट पहन के देखना पड़ेगा. Stay safe, fangirl. Yes, yeah, you should wear a helmet or not use your phone. And Sana saying, ha ha ha. And Wali Wonders देखते देखते लगता है ड्राइविंग टेस्ट भी दोबारा देना पड़ेगा. And Junaid is saying, bro, just to catch you live here, we have to switch spots, and your fan here thinks she needs a Wali license before even thinking about a test drive. And Faizi is saying, predicting regional politics involves dozens of shifting interests: oil, terrorism, US influence, China, Russia, making stabilizing alliances extremely hard to forecast.
Yes.
That's like a really in-depth opinion that Faizi just gave us. And yeah, terrorism and oil and money, when all of these things are involved, and armies are involved, sorry, these things can happen. And Sana is saying, haha Junaid, being a Wali Wonder fan is qualification in itself now. Forget the license. Attending the live stream is mandatory first. Oh my God. So yes, Sana.
We're so happy that all of you are here, and we hope that we will get our new geopolitical analyst from our fan club.
Fan club, yeah. It's the Wali Wonders family, and it's the Wali Wonders fan club as well. So with that, let's switch on to our next article, which is Saudi Crown Prince and Iranian President discuss Iran-Israel ceasefire. So Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman expresses hope that truce will restore security and stability in the region and prevent further confrontation. The Prince Mohammed received call from Prime Minister of Iraq and Pakistan as well. So, yeah, seems like Saudi Arabia is also stepping in. By the way, did Saudis help Israel in this 12-day war? And when we are talking about Saudis brokering a peace, is Iran going to trust Saudi Arabia? Or is this a new world in which there's going to be a shift in the friendships? Maybe Israel and Saudi Arabia are falling apart, the relationship is falling apart, and maybe Iran and Saudi Arabia are cozying up, because honestly, United States is like a falling power, and Saudis already, they blew this on the American face that they weren't going to exchange oil in dollars, but still the fact remains that they have to buy US treasuries, because no other currency is big enough to support so much transaction between the world. So the point remains, do you think that Mohammed bin Salman is like truly a leader of our generation, and how are Saudis helping mediate this situation?
Yes, I have been reading about what's been going on between the Saudis and the Iranians from the day that they had this rapprochement. China backed it. Pakistan also helped bring these two entities together, and there was a rapprochement, there was a friendship, and immediately when they announced this friendship and rapprochement, they immediately exchanged their diplomats and they opened their embassies in each other's countries. And the news has been from the Iranian side that we have very close channels with the Saudis now, and we are talking on a daily, regular basis. And that means that, the planning and whatever situation is going on, like, if you're talking to somebody every day, you become friends automatically, And I would remind you of the fact that this China, this Iran, Saudi rapprochement took place something in February or March of 2023, Gaza war, just few months before the October 7 Gaza war. And, after these two sworn enemies, these two, vocally enemies, these two countries become friends. Immediately, like 3 or 4 months later, what happens is that Hamas attacks the Israeli people in such a heavy way, and this Gaza-Israel war starts. And what is amazing about that is that in this whole 2.5 years, when the Iranians have been using Hezbollah to help the Hamas people, and they have been aiding the Ansarullah to help the Gaza people, in all this time, the Saudis have not once said that they are doing something wrong. But this time they've been saying that, yes, all the fault lies on the head of Israel, because Israel is oppressing the Palestinians for 70 years. And they've also, like the OIC had put the Hezbollah in their list of terrorist organizations. But after this war, they struck the name out of the terrorist list, and now Hezbollah is considered as an authentic freedom fighting force and not a terrorist organization by all the Muslim countries, including the Saudis, including all the Gulf countries. And another thing is that all the Arab states, Gulf states, their foreign ministers have come out together so many times, and they have said that this time we want to see at the end of the Gaza war that a free Palestinian state is established. And Saudi MBS, his people are especially saying this again and again, that this time we want a free Palestinian state, and we want the end of this war and this hysteria from the Israeli side. And they're saying that once the Palestinians are free and going on with their own normal lives, Israel is going to be more freer and more safer, and we will normalize with Israel. This is what their narrative has become now. So that's the story that's going on. Yeah.
That is just great. And let's take a few comments and then let's go to the next article. So Asma is saying serious geopolitics is going on here, and these two are stuck in driving test and fan club episodes. This is what is going on. So they're like talking to each other. And Fezi is saying it's the latest escalation in decades-long rivalry sparked by Israel targeting Iran's nuclear and military structure, followed by Iran launching missiles and drones in Israel. Yeah, and that's what we're talking, that it is an endless war, and it's because of Israel, and their existence is based on this war that will keep on going on and on and on, and they'll switch regimes or they'll kill people. And like, who kills another country's army chief or his air chief or his president? And it was such a heinous attack on the last one. Who was he?
Who?
The last guy who was Hezbollah's, who was bombed in his house.
You're talking about
Hassan Nasrallah.
Yes,
Hassan Nasrallah. And Sana Ali saying, Asma easing politics tension also takes talent, and Sana and Junaid have just introduced fan club diplomacy. Next level peace talks are under the way. Honestly, I think I should make some merchandise, make some shirts, and give it to all my fans who have been supporting me, and it could become like an official fan club in which we'll have like a fan meeting one day. Hopefully, if I have that many fans.
You know, if anybody's in Lahore, we should also invite them.
Yeah, yeah. So Trump says that China can buy Iranian oil, but urges it to purchase U.S. crude oil. So
now,
this
how like dreamful is this? One day you call them they're your enemy, and then you bomb them, and then
it's okay to, because China's not going to stop buying oil. So the article goes, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that China can continue to purchase Iranian oil after Israeli-Iran agreed to a ceasefire, a move that White House clarified did not indicate a relaxation in U.S. sanctions. China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran. Hopefully, they will be purchasing plenty from the U.S. also. Trump is in post on Truth Social just said that he ordered U.S. bombings of 3 nuclear Iranian sites.
Post-trauma.
Post-trauma. So, yeah, that's like interesting news that Iran can now even sell their oil to like China. And they've already been, Iranians are good at selling their things. And you think of Tehran as like a backward place, but it's like a really beautiful city filled with lights, filled with buildings. And I don't know, there's not so much footage coming out from Iran. We don't really see the amount of devastation that Tehran has felt, because obviously Israel has been attacking them for like 12 days. They did attack them, and I'm sure that they killed like 200-300 people and also destroyed a lot of buildings. But we are not right now seeing that the whole scale of the impact. And what Iran does is Iran just lets the oil flow from its borders. Like there's this whole billions of dollars of oil market in Pakistan, because all of the oil that Iran cannot sell, they just put them on these little bikes and these little containers, and they drive all the way across the border. And that's how the oil gets into the other country. And it's such a big illicit crime and a whole game that the whole of the Pakistani economy is being strangled because of just this Iranian oil. The Iranian oil is cheaper, but you can't legally import it. So when the oil comes in, it can't be taxed. So maybe like the top government officials are even involved in the smuggling game, and there's like big players smuggling Iranian oil into Pakistan. But the point remains that this oil has destroyed our economy, because this oil is not taxed, and mostly when you go to the petrol station, half of the petrol is Iranian petrol and half of the oil is like Saudi oil, although I don't think that there's much difference between them. But the point is that even in the big cities, the government is not collecting so much tax revenue, but the government might also be involved in some underhand scheme, and they might be making even more money. I'm talking about billions and billions of dollars with some agreement with Iran. And that's what Iran is. So it's like Donald Trump saying that he could stop Iran from exporting its oil. That's like just a fantasy. And you can't really stop Iran because they'll throw their oil away as cheap as they can just to get their product across the whole region. And could you, Anila, do you want to give us some opinion on that as well?
Yeah. Actually, Iran has been selling their oil to China and other countries via a method which is something like ship to ship type of smuggling. Like a container of Iranian oil will dispatch from the Iranian port, and they will come into the deep seas, and then they will shift that oil to another container ship which is like marked not by Iranian flag but by another country's flag, and that will then become possible to move that oil then to China or other places. So that is the type of way that they have been selling their oils, and it's a difficult thing, and it becomes more double the effort, but Iran has been doing that, and they have been doing that very swiftly because their oil is going in a huge quantity to China especially, and also to other countries. And India was also one of their big buyers of the Iranian oil just before Trump's last tenure. When Trump came to power in his last tenure, he also started a trade war at that time, and it asked all the countries that either you are with us or against us, and everybody has to immediately stop buying oil from Iran. And India has been a strategic ally of US all along, and they said to Iran, okay, now we are going to stop buying your oil. And that is when Iran-India friendship ended, and they threw Iranians out of the Chabahar port also and said that no thanks, you just don't need to come here or build this port. And there's been a split between these two countries from that time, and that is something good for Pakistan because if India was going to be present in Iran, Indians would have always been doing nasty things against Pakistan, and they would be also trying to build something anti-Pakistan with Iranians also, which is something that is ended now.
Yes, that's a very good point. That the outfall, the end of the friendship between Iran and India is like a plus point for Pakistan because yes, they were going to eliminate the Belt and Road project, and they were going to eliminate, there was no need of Gwadar if there was a Chabahar port, and Iran was like a successful city who was like good with all its neighbors, and India did try to make that dream happen, but unfortunately they can't really like go in deep with such sort of diplomacy. And now recently in the 12-day war, didn't we see that the people who were responsible for the espionage and all these deadly attacks and all these drone factories, these people were Indian. So the Indian intelligence or the army are in bed with Israel anyways, and that's like the enemy number one of Israel. And Israel also in the Pakistan-India conflict, the skirmishes that happened, there's reports that there were Israeli military personnel involved, especially there were some Israeli pilots who were flying the planes, and also that these people, these drones that they were sending in were being controlled by some Israeli people. And when Pakistan was retaliating, Pakistan might have also killed a few of these Israelis and also captured one of the pilots. And we're not talking about it, nor are we talking about Shivanji. I hope she's safe and she's not in Pakistan. But that is the point that the Israel and the India relationship seems to be on the rise. And even Bilawal Bhutto said that Modi seems like a Timu version of Netanyahu, which is so funny.
Yeah.
And there's a few comments going on as well. Let's just read. Ahmed Munir is saying, अगर एक ex-president ने peace process move किया तो current global leaders fail हो रहे हैं. And Sana is like, yes, auntie, you're right. And Myra Omar is waving, and Sana is saying, what are you right on? See, I think you commented something about
Yes,
Sana. Yes. And if you call from the heart, I won't just catch a flight. I will rewrite destiny to get here. Canada, I'd show up from Mars if I had to. Oh. And Myra is saying, hey, first time here on this channel. Thank you, Myra, for being here and enjoying our live streams. And we're thankful for all our followers and all the people who are watching us live and all the people who are going to watch this stream after it ends. Thank you to all of you, because you guys are the ones who make these live streams possible. And please do like, share, and subscribe as much as you can, because it's like a free way to support our channel and to get us excited about everything and keep this streams going on. So with that, let's go on to like one or two more articles, and then we'd like to end the stream as well, because we've been going for like 1.5 or 2 hours. Trump says war done between Israel and Iraq. Talks coming next week. And I'll also read another article which is related, and that is Israeli attacks kill at least 51 as Trump signals progress in Gaza talks. Medical resources say that at least 14 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces aid distribution centers in Gaza. So they although they're giving now, they've started giving a little bit of food and a little bit of aid, but these they give you food and they also give you bullets. That's what Israel is. How sick is that? First you starve these people, and when they're coming to get food, you start shooting them. That's just out of this world. And also the fact that today there was this news that there was like this car bombing, or they lit a car on fire in which there were like 7 Israeli soldiers. This happened in like Gaza, and it was done by Hamas or Hezbollah. And what happened is that yes, there's also this video that I watched that all these Israeli people are going through Gaza, and people are throwing these cocktail bombs on their cars, and the cars are burning up like anything. And same thing happened, that someone threw like a fire bomb on the car, and all the 7 soldiers were killed, were burnt alive, and it was such a horrendous situation. So yeah, what's been going on with Palestine? We saw into the Iran and Israel war that it seems like people are forgetting about the Palestine issue. What do you think about that?
Yes, I've been saying this all along, that every day still to this day something like 30, 40, 50 people are being killed in Gaza every day. And you were right about those food aid. It's being called food aid death trap by media, because there is this like a truck full of food comes inside Gaza. People just run towards it because children are starving, mothers are starving, men are starving. There must be elderlies, there must be very infant children. Everybody desperately needs the food, and these people are thinking that yes, the food has been handed over to the Palestinian, whatever organizers would be there, but the Israeli, those wolf type of characters, they are hiding just around those trucks, and they, anytime they can start shooting you and killing you. and like they have so many reasons for doing that. And but again, just like you said, Hamas is also very fresh, very active, very young, and they are attacking the Israeli forces in and around Gaza every day. I mean, all along this 12-day war and also before that, Hamas has shown its resilience and its strength, and they are truly, truly heroic, people who can do so much with such little weapons and such, scarcity and such difficult times when their own families and their own, wives and children, and they must be dying or suffering. Still, they are standing so strongly to defend the freedom of their people.
Our hearts and our prayers are with the people of Gaza, and we hope that this war with Gaza also ends, and innocent Palestinians who are being killed every day. This needs to be stopped by some force or some way. And Donald Trump is trying to do that because he's saying that Gaza, there's going to be peace in Gaza as well after the ceasefire between Iran and Israel. And it's like a really difficult situation. One can't really explain. There's no words that can tell you about the misery of these people. And so many, like 300,000 of them have died. And they just keep on killing them. How bad is that? And there's so many children. Half of these people who were killed are children, and that's just next level insanity. That you kill so many innocent children. How can you do that? Is that even like? Because they're like just indiscriminately bombing everything, every living creature. So how can this all happen? It's like mind-blowing. And with that, I would like to say that it was such nice today to have this live stream, and we enjoyed a lot. We always enjoy every bit of these live streams. And Anila, do you have a message, or would you like me?
Yes, I would just like to say that we're so happy that new people are like joining in, and please spread the word that we are here almost twice or thrice a week, and we like to like share all the knowledge, information, and we like to interact with all of you and your questions whenever we have the chance, whenever we understand them, we really like to answer them, and so just help us promote the channel. Thanks.
Let's just read some of the comments. So Myra Umar is saying, hoping this place teaches me more than my college ever did. Mine is the boring lectures and surprise quizzes. Yes, we try to keep it like entertaining. These past few streams have been a little serious, I guess, but we keep on cracking jokes. And sometimes when we're talking in Urdu, we make a lot of fun of people, but in English, it's
No,
a
it's
little
just
bit
as
serious.
easy.
And Rizwan Amir is waving. Rizwan Amir is saying, bro. Fezi is saying, is Israel's defense working? Yes,
No,
it
not
has
really.
completely failed. The Iron Dome is a joke against the Iranian missiles, and Iran was targeting Israel like anything. They destroyed so much, and it's going to take both of these countries a long while to rebuild, to regain their strength. And Rizwan Amir is saying, Middle East जैसे volatile region में इतनी जल्दी ceasefire किया, इसके पीछे oil trade tensions या regional alliance का pressure है. Because all of them were pretending that they were like strong people and they could like take over another country, but the point is that war is not so simple. Donald Trump cannot be like the strong man and just kill Khomeini and take all the oil, do a regime change in Iran, and install his puppet government. It's not that simple. You really have to commit, and because of that, a lot of US military personnel would be at risk. America would have to get their boots on ground and plus the civilian casualties. I mean, when they invaded Baghdad, they like threw like 1,000 cruise missiles. Do you want that to happen in Tehran as well? I mean, and I'm sorry for...
I think you missed Asma's comment before this one.
I'll just read it. So, ceasefire happened. Did humanity return to, as long as politics holds more value than people's life? Every peace is just a pause, not a solution.
Yes, exactly. I also said that, you know, some people say that war is a social phenomena which is always happening.
Nimra is saying, मैं तो ये सब देख के सोच चुकी हूँ कि लगता है मेरा दिमाग भी ceasefire मांग रहा है. And Lexent Company is also here. Lexent was here earlier as well, I think a few streams back. Thank you, Lexent, for commenting and joining us on our live stream. But unfortunately, we're about to end our live stream today, and we had such a good live stream, and we talked about so many things, about the oil tensions, about the military bases in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, and we talked about how the ceasefire happened, and was it like a victory for Israel, or was it like a victory for Iran, and what's Netanyahu's future, what's Ayatollah Khamenei's future, and so much information that we always give our audience. But with that, I'd like to end our live stream, and I'd like to tell our audience to stay safe at their homes. We hope that everyone is happy, safe, and healthy. And with that, I'd like to say Allah Hafiz and peace out, and bye-bye, and also namaste to any one of our Indian viewers who are also sometimes listening.